Hey calculus kids, this is Dr. Callahan for week 8 Monday. Welcome back to school. I hope you guys had a wonderful fall break. Go ahead and answer the following 3 questions. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the question here. The third one says use the definition of the derivative to find f prime of x. F of x is 2x squared plus 5x minus 6. Now at this point you should know how to do this fairly simple by using the power rule. However, if the question is asking you to find the derivative using the definition of the derivative, make sure you still remember how to do that. Remember, it is the limit as delta x approaches 0, f of x plus delta x minus f of x over delta x. So then what we're going to do is we're going to do f of x plus delta x. So every time you see an x, we're going to replace it with x plus delta x plus 5 minus f of x is a negative 4x minus a 5. Make sure you go ahead and distribute this, which will give you a 4x plus 4 delta x. Combine like terms, you will have the 4x and the negative 4x cancel, positive 5, negative 5 cancel, 4 delta x is what remains over delta x. And this is pretty simple, it actually cancels. So 4 is actually left. However, I'm feeling like there's something wrong that I did. Hold on a second, let me just check this one more time. You know what? Hold on a second. Oh, you know what? Dang it, I plugged in the wrong one. Okay, sorry about that. I just totally realized what I did. I plugged into the f prime of x. I was like, wow, that was really, really simple. That wasn't difficult at all. And I needed to put the x plus delta x into the original f of x. So no, it's not as easy as I thought it would be. X plus delta x squared plus 5x plus delta x minus 6. That right there is just your first part right here. I still need to keep on going with the minus f of x, which is minus 2x squared minus 5x plus 6. Yeah, that was a lot easier than I expected. All right, so then let's go ahead and FOIL this. So you have 2 times x squared plus 2x delta x plus delta x squared. There we go. And then plus, make sure you distribute 5x plus 5 delta x, and then distribute the 2. You'll get 2x squared plus 4x delta x plus 2 delta x squared. Wow, there's a lot of delta x's in there. So let's go ahead and combine the like terms here. But before I do that, I can actually cancel a few. The negative 2x squared and the positive 2x squared. I can cancel out a 5x. And I think that is and the negative 6. Yes, negative 6. Okay, so then what is left is just the 4x delta x plus 2x delta x squared and plus 5 delta x. So then I can go ahead and factor out the delta x. So delta x is out, 4x plus 2x delta x plus 5. All the way over delta x. So that cancels. Now let's go ahead and apply the limit as delta x approaches 0. The only one that has a delta x is this one right here. That becomes a 0. So 2x times 0 is going to give me a 0. So this entire thing becomes a 0. So then here we have it. F prime of x is equal to 4x plus 5. So same answer as if you would just use the power rule, but takes a little bit longer, I would think. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. Last time I saw you guys, I introduced you guys to the derivative of trig functions. So the derivative of sine x is equal to cosine x, and the derivative of cosine x is equal to negative sine x. And so after that, it's pretty straightforward. Just be careful with their double negatives. And that's it. If you did practice with some of the textbook work, I have the answers right here. You guys can go ahead and pause and take a look at it. And then I had you guys go ahead and do the puzzle with why do derivatives never grow old? And then also, why does Sir Isaac Newton refuse a glass of wine before sitting down to formulate the rules of differentiation? He knew better than to drink and derive. Aha, yeah, very cute calculus joke there. Okay, and then you guys did a foldable with me in class. And then in addition, I gave you guys 30 problems with 30 answers. All right, so today is week 8, Monday. And of course, my pen is malfunctioning. Next week is week 9. Remember, week 9 Friday is when your warm-up block is due. And then I'll give you a brand new warm-up block to start with week 10 all the way to the end of the semester at week 18. Today, I'm going to talk about product rule and quotient rule. So those are two new rules that we will be introducing. If you're in class, I'll give you guys a foldable to kind of summarize everything that we're going to be talking about today. However, if you're not with me, you could just do this on a separate piece of paper and just keep it in your notes. And then I'll also give you guys some flashcards and envelopes to memorize formulas and trig equations that are really, really important to this class. And again, if you're at home, you actually have access to this in your guided notes. So you can just go ahead and cut it out, or you can just keep it intact. That's fine too. You just write the answers in the back of each of the little cards. This is your foldable today. So go ahead and turn over to week 8 Monday. And then here, if you look at this, are some questions that now you can actually do with the product and quotient rule with the algebra puzzle. This is a classwork where I'm going to have you guys go ahead and match the limit to the equations as a review. Oh, and then also match it to the graph. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and get started on the guided notes with the foldable. Follow the next 4 examples on this foldable. All right. Let's take a look at this right here. So here's our first question, number 1. F of x equals 4x minus 3 times 2x squared plus 3x plus 5. So if you look at this right here, notice that you're multiplying the two parentheses together. So you're going to be using the product rule for this. Now the product rule is going to be f prime of x times g of x plus f of x times g prime of x. So there are 4 components that you need. You need f prime, g prime. So I'm just going to say that the first one is going to be f, the second one is going to be g. So f is going to be 4x minus 3, f prime is going to be the derivative of this, so it's just 4. G is going to be 2x squared plus 3x plus 5. So g prime is 4x plus 3. Now that I have these 4 pieces, I can now complete my f prime of x with the product rule. So remember, it's f prime times g. So that's 4x times this part right here. So I can just go ahead and distribute it out. So that's going to be 8x squared plus 12x plus 20. Come on, pen, work. Oh, no, don't go back. Okay. Plus, your second part is f times g prime. So f times g prime. You would have to FOIL that. So that's going to be a 16x squared. The outer is going to be a 12x. Inner is going to be a negative 12x. So that cancels. Minus the last, which is -3 times 3, which is a -9. Now you're going to go ahead and combine like terms. So f prime of x is going to give you a 24x squared plus 12x plus 11. And that right there is your product rule for your answer. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next part. So pause the video. I'm going to have you guys go ahead and do this one. Question number 2. It is a trinomial times a trinomial, but once you find these components, you should be just fine. I mean, you find the derivative, so that's going to be a 6x minus 1 and like a 2x plus 3. So then just plug it in here. So pause the video and give that a try. Here's your answer for that. And if you need the steps, here are the steps. You do have to be kind of meticulously organized with certain things on this, so just be careful. All right, let's go into number 3. Third question is going to be using the quotient rule. So the quotient rule is similar to the product rule, but you do have a denominator. So what this is going to be is you need now 5 components, 5 parts to this, because h prime of x is going to be f prime times g minus, not a plus, f times g prime all the way over g squared. So because you have the g squared, you have 5 parts. So then my f is going to be the top part, so I'm going to use that as f. Bottom part is g. F is going to be x to the 6th. F prime is 6x to the 5th. G is going to be x squared. G prime is 2x. G squared is going to be x squared, which is x to the 4th. Now let's go ahead and plug this in. So h prime times f prime times g. So f prime times g is going to give me a 6x to the 7th, because remember to add the exponent. Remember back in algebra 1, a squared times a to the 3rd is not a to the 6th, it's a to the 5th, because you have to add them together, the exponent together. Minus f times g prime. So that's going to be a 2x. Remember, this is a 1 power, 1 degree. So 1 plus 6 is going to be a 7. All the way over g squared, which is x to the 4th. Well, given the fact that they have the same exponent, 6 minus 2 is a 4x to the 7th over x to the 4th. Bring that 4 up, and you'll get 4x to the 3rd as your h prime of x. And that is your answer. Okay, go ahead and pause the video for number 4. I'm going to help you set this up. F is going to be 5x squared minus 1. F prime is 10x. G is the denominator, 2x cubed plus 3. G prime is 6x squared. G squared is going to be 2x cubed plus 3 squared. So you would have to FOIL that. So that's going to give you a 4x to the 6th plus 12x to the 3rd plus 9. Here are the steps for that. Okay, so now what I'm gonna have you guys do is go ahead and flip your foldable to the back. And it says, can you understand how Dr. C got these answers? Show the missing steps. I do have some missing steps in there. So there are several questions here. Go ahead and pick a few of them, and you guys are welcome to practice with it. And for those of you guys who are at home and you're like, except I can't see it because you have a sign right there, Callahan. Let me go ahead and move that sign away so you guys can actually see it. Okay, so now you can see this. And again, you don't need to have a foldable to be able to do this. You just need to make sure you practice with it and just write it down on a separate piece of paper. That's totally fine. Okay. All right, so then at this point, what I'm gonna have you guys do is kind of like a matching activity. It's kind of review of sorts because remember your AP exam in May does require you to memorize everything that you actually started learning in August, September of the previous year. So it's important that we don't forget, one stuff. So if you can avert your attention to this part here. So on the next page, you're gonna have several equations from 1 to 12. From each of these equations, like on equation number 1, for example, you are going to find the graph that will match that equation. Then you're going to find the limit that will match that equation to the graph. And then you're going to tell me the right-handed limit and the left-handed limit. And you're essentially going to fill out this chart. So here is your equation right here. Then, of course, you have your limit up here with your graphs to the right, your left-handed limits, and your right-handed limits. So you don't need to cut this out. You just need to write down which equation you're starting off with. So if you're starting off with, let's say, 1 over x minus 2, you would just write 1 minus x over 2. And then find the graph, the limit, the right-hand limit, the left-hand limit. And then when you're done with that, I have this puzzle here that you can actually start practicing using your quotient rule and your product rule. So there's a few that you probably cannot do, although, yeah, there's a few you cannot do. You cannot do number 11, 12, let's see, cannot do 14. And you might be able to do 15. And the reason for that is because 11, 12, 14 require the chain rule. We haven't gotten to that point yet. We will this coming week. But you can give it a try and see where you get stuck on and then realize that, wait a second, there's something that she didn't tell us. And that's where the chain rule happens. For questions like number 7, for example, you would have to FOIL this. So 3 times x to the 4th plus, it'd be a 4x to the 6th, 2x to the 3rd. Yeah, it'll be 4x to the 6th plus 4x squared. You would have to go ahead and distribute the 3 and then apply the power rule. And then with 13, you could do the quotient rule. And actually, with number 7, you can also do the product rule. If you want to take the 3 on the side here, x squared plus 2x times x squared plus 2x. Distribute the 3, you have 3x squared plus 6x times x squared plus 2x, and then product rule. Try it that way. You could do the same thing with number 4. Number 5, you would have to write it out 3 times, but that's okay because what you can do is you can go ahead and FOIL this one into one product, the first 2 binomials. So x squared plus 4x plus 4, that's going to be your f. And then your g will be x plus 2, your third binomial. All right, you guys, if you need some additional assistance, I do have my notes from the textbook right here as well that goes over the product rule, quotient rule one more time, and then I go over some examples from the book. You guys can go ahead and take a look at this part right here. If you need some additional practices, I do have the questions here from the textbook, answers, questions, answers, questions, answers, etc. So you can get some more additional practices with that. All right, next thing I want you guys to do is turn over to this page on week 8, Friday. Some of these questions are asking you to find the derivative. Anything with a d over dx is asking you to find the derivative. The ones that do not have a d over dx is asking you to tell me what is another way of writing this trig limit. So like questions like number 16, 4, 12, 1, 3, 13, 14, 15, 6, 2, 5. What's another way to write this trig function? In trigonometry, you know that sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1. So 1 will be the answer for that. Now, the ones that does have the d over dx, you are supposed to tell me what is the derivative of secant x. If you're not sure, that's not a problem because you know that's something that you need to memorize. And guess what? If you keep on flipping over here, I actually have the answers for you. So the derivative of secant x right here is actually equal to secant x tangent x. So you need to make sure you memorize this and refer to this sheet for future derivative references. Now, the formulas and theorems on the left side are trigonometric formulas that you should already know from last year, such as sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1, because we will be relying on this when we start doing derivatives with inverse functions, which will be, or inverse trig functions, which will require you to be kind of sly and manipulative with your rewriting to find the correct answer or the correct match to do the derivative. So this is important as a prerequisite to know how to do this before we move on forward with more difficult stuff. All right, you guys, well, that's all I have for you. You have plenty of things to do and kind of practice. So remember after each of these videos, because I know these videos are generally like 15 to 20 minutes, your class is about 55 minutes. So keep in mind you have like another 30 somewhat minutes to practice this. Otherwise, I generally give you guys time in class to do it. But since you're at home on virtual days, make sure you are practicing and utilizing that extra 30 minutes. All right, you guys, have a wonderful week, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.